Okay. Hi. Hello. I am here to tell you about a game that I played and how it sort of changed my life. Maybe, not really, but I think it did. Obviously, when something is life changing, it is in conjunction with other things, but yeah. I have written this video, I have shot this video before, and each time it didn't quite come out right. So I thought I would just talk about what it was like to play Celeste. Celeste is an indie platformer scroller that came out in 2018. I played it when it came out. I hated it and I didn't play it again for 7 years. But having played it now, I have a lot of things to say about it and what it means about perfection and failure. So let's get into it. Celeste was published by Maddie Makes Games and is a pixel platform scroller based on the character Madeline as she climbs Mount Celeste. It's clear from the beginning that Madeline has some issues and that's what has led her to climb this mountain. And while it's a very basic game with a really good soundtrack and really good visuals, it makes use of a few mechanics like run, jump, dash, climb. But as it continues, the puzzles get difficult and the mechanics get more advanced. When I played the game when it first came out, I got really frustrated. Like, mega insanely frustrated. And I think that was part of why I gave up. Celeste sort of fits into a genre of games called mesocore or masochism core. Basically, you kind of enjoy how much the game makes you suffer. There are well-known games like this, like Dark Souls and Super Meat Boy. I'm not saying I don't enjoy games where I suffer and have a bit of a challenge. I do. I really enjoy Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, and Doom Dark Ages. I played on the highest difficulty levels because I do think it's quite fun and a nice challenge sometimes. But I think what makes Celeste a bit different is it pushes you in a emotional way too. It's not just a pretty game, it's a game with a storyline, and I feel as though the mechanics of the game reflect the story very well. Hopefully I can explain that well. But I think a good way to explain how I got back into Celeste after 7 years is to explain how I ended up playing Celeste again. I was a person who loved my comfort zone, who loved doing things that I know that I'm good at, and very comfortable where I was. But 2 years ago, I decided to move to Thailand and teach English. It was something that I had wanted to do for a very long time, and I thought, and I was ready for the challenge of living somewhere else and being completely sucked out of everything I knew. I had never lived by myself before, and I was living in a town that people didn't really speak English. I didn't have a car, I didn't have transport, I was just there. And in being in an experience like that, it forces you to change because you are vulnerable and you are embarrassed. And the experiences just don't stop coming. Like, you constantly have to be in a space where you are not comfortable. But I think what it teaches is an internal sense of, okayness, which I think sometimes we don't get from staying in the same safe place. Maybe I'm wrong. But it made me think of Celeste and how I had really wanted to enjoy Celeste, because at the time I still am really into indie games and small developers. So I was like, I'm gonna love this game. I'm gonna play this game. I've played lots of other small indie games and really enjoyed it. And I really wanted to enjoy Celeste. And when I didn't, I kind of just avoided it and went on with my life. And after moving to Thailand, having my whole life changed. And then moving back and having my whole life changed. In the midst of that and deciding to come back to where I live, I played Celeste again. And it was as if I finally got what the game was about. So I'd be lying if I said that playing the game wasn't still hard and difficult. It is. I suffered a lot. But the suffering was definitely made up for it in the moments of success and triumph and feeling like I had accomplished something. I think the crux of Celeste is the mechanics. So the mechanics are basic, run, dash, climb, something else. But as the levels and the chapters progress, you have to adapt in new and difficult ways. Some games, I feel, my opinion, you get the mechanics and you spend the rest of the game perfecting the mechanics in different stages and different parts of the game. In Celeste, you get the mechanics and then they keep changing as the levels keep getting harder and keep getting more complicated and the puzzles get more complicated. I remember doing one of the levels and being completely stuck. I will say that I've turned assist mode off because I maybe am a bit of a masochist, and I sat with, how do I do this? How do I get this to work? And it was the only time I watched a walkthrough and I was like, fuck, I'm so stupid. Obviously it's this. But I think in the process of I have no idea what to do, I have no idea where this game is going, you kind of come to find new parts of yourself and new parts of your brain. And I think this is intentional. The creator, Maddie Thorenson, said in a Vice article, and I quote, "We want people to come out of this game feeling capable and powerful. So that means we have to teach them and support them through the failures along the way." And I really like that, because some games and some experiences kind of expect you to know everything straight off the bat. And if you don't know it intuitively, if you can't figure it out, then you're a failure. But I feel like Celeste is full of examples or experiences where the game genuinely wants you to succeed, even when it's difficult. The game knows it's difficult. The game knows you're pulling your hair out and having a bad time. But the game is kind and the game is supportive, and it wants you to figure out how to finish this. And this is where I think the game mechanics reflect the story of the game. The game is about Madeline. We know that before Madeline decided to climb this mountain, she is going through some things. She calls her mom and a very cryptic conversation about things that have happened, and Madeline is climbing this mountain because she wants to prove something to herself and to the people around her. And throughout the game, she's taunted by an alter ego version of herself called Madeline. Bad Madeline. that embodies all of her bad traits. As you move through the game, you are terrorized by Madeline as Madeline tries to run away from her, and it's the biggest obstacle in the game. But spoilers, it also becomes the way Madeline overcomes the mountain. So the layers are that Madeline is climbing this mountain. The mountain is difficult. 2, Madeline is running away from Madeline. And Madeline sees Madeline as a manifestation of all her bad parts. Madeline is mean. She tells Madeline she can't climb the mountain. She tells Madeline she's stupid and she's wasting her time and she's never gonna climb this big mountain by herself and she should never have come. And at first, the way Madeline tries to reckon with Madeline is, I think, a very self-help way. She's like, Madeline, I see you. I see your pain. I release you. And this doesn't work. This makes things a lot worse. Spoilers. Instead, Madeline becomes much worse and fucks up the map and attacks you. So Madeline tries to set Madeline free. But spoiler, she discovers that the only way, after she's pushed all the way back down to the base of the mountain, is she has to accept Madeline. And when she does this, she gets a new set of dashes, a new set of powers. She gets another dash and a double jump. And I think it's part of how we see ourselves. I'm no better than Madeline. I think I have done that in the past. I have generalized anxiety disorder. And I think for a long time, survival consisted of separating myself from the bad parts of my personality and the bad parts of myself. And I was the same. I was like, I let you go. I let you be free. Without realizing that these parts play a role in my life. They are trying to protect me. They are trying to help me. And Madeline was trying to help Madeline. She's not bad. She's just self-preservation who helped Madeline survive up until that point. But in order to actually climb the mountain, Madeline needs to find self-compassion and she needs to find self-acceptance for all the parts that she'd separated out of herself and for all the stuff that she had been avoiding, except with the bad parts don't disappear. Instead, in order to do whatever we have to do, I think accepting them and embracing them is a very big part of that. I think for a long time, I didn't know myself very well. And I think that in the process of sitting with the discomfort of trying again and starting again, you get to know yourself a bit better. Coming from Thailand, going to Thailand, and having to restart over and over and over again is where I think Celeste really helps. Celeste is a space to do that with compassion and kindness. You know, these past 2 weeks I've hiked a lot. And when you're actually climbing a mountain, there's no going back. There's no putting off the game and starting again. When you're an hour up the mountain, you gotta climb the mountain. And I think if you're not ready for that, Celeste is an amazing space to work on that. Celeste lets you fail, lets you die, lets you struggle, lets you make mistakes, lets you be stupid. My first run through of Celeste still sits in my save slot. And I like it because it serves as a reminder of the person I was when I first tried to play it and the person I am now. And I think that where I am now, in between countries, in between careers, in between life stages, Celeste is very comforting. It reminds me that I can always start again. It's not the things I have or the personality that I think I have. It's not the place where I'm at. It's the internal essence of myself that is the most important thing. It is the thing that has carried me from here to there, and it's the thing that will take me to where I want to be. And that's, I think, a very important lesson from Celeste. As you are doing these challenges, as you are facing these puzzles, as they get more difficult and harder to figure out, you think about what it means and what you have. The person and the thing getting the only common denominator in all this difficulty and all this suffering is you. You don't have to come to Celeste with a whole ethical dilemma about who you are. If you enjoy a difficult game that challenges you to new skills and different things, play Celeste. It's very, very fun. Thank you. So the game is about Celeste. Nope.